All right, so now that we've worked on factoring, that hopefully you've gotten yourself caught up on factoring homework, we are going to figure out what to do when you can't factor to find the roots. Okay, so this first part is a warm-up. You can skip through it if you feel like you know what you're doing, and I'm just going to put the answers up there, and then if you get the right answer, you can fast forward to the next one, or you can watch the work. So you choose. Okay, so I would pause your video, do this one, and then I'll put the answers up, and then you can fast forward to the next one if you got it right. All right, pause. Okay, so the answer on that one is this. So if you got it, fast forward to the next one. If you didn't, I'm going to work through it. Remember, this is the difference of cubes. This is T2C. This is G, right? So my first set of parentheses is whatever is above. And then my second set of parentheses, I would square this one. So that's 4c squared. I would square this one to get the last term. And then the product is what goes in the middle. And when you square it, it's always going to be positive. The product goes in the middle, so that's 2cg. And the sign has to be opposite this because you got to get it to cancel. For those of you that were gone when we learned this, so you would take this in, so you'd get 8c cubed plus 2c squared g plus 2cg squared minus 4c squared g minus 2cg squared minus g cubed. These are like terms. Well, these are like terms. No, those first ones were. 2 times 2 is 4. I messed up right here. Sorry. These are like terms. These are like terms. This is a plus. This is a minus. Those cancel. Plus, minus, it cancels. So I do get back to this. So this is what the rule is. You take the cube root, and that's the first set of parentheses, and then the second set of parentheses is the first one squared times the product of them, of your cube roots, times plus the second thing squared. Okay, so here is question 2. I would like you to pause. I would like you to take a look at question 2, and I would like you to factor it. Okay, take a minute and do that. And then here is what the answer is, so you can fast forward if you get it right. If you didn't get it right, then I'm going to go through it. So you need to look at, like if I do this by groups of 2, okay, I can take out a 6z, 2, like the letters aren't the same. So I don't think I want to do this by groups of 2. But if I look at the first 3 numbers, they have a 6 in common and a z. So I can take out a 6z, and that leaves me with 2a minus b minus c. Okay, and then if I look at the second set of numbers, I can take out a 5x, and that leaves me with 2a minus b minus c. These parentheses are the same, so I get 6z plus 5x, and then I get 2a minus b minus c. Okay, so sometimes you can put them in groups of 2, sometimes groups of 3, sometimes you could do either. It really is truly up to you. All right, so here's question 3. Pause it, work it, check it, make sure you know what you're doing. This is what's going to be on the test on Friday. Test is Friday, homework is due Friday. Well, unless it's the wrong semester. But anyway, so on this one, the answer, sorry, I better do the answer. The answer is if you got the black answer, you would get half credit on the test. Okay, that's only half credit because it's not factored completely. So you can take the first set of parentheses, and that's this. And then the second set of parentheses is this. So the red answer is the complete red answer. So if I do this one by grouping, and I group the first 2, I can take out an 8x cubed. That leaves me with m squared minus n squared. And on the back, I can take out a y cubed. That leaves me with m squared minus n squared. So that's how I would get my 8x cubed plus y cubed. That still can be factored. And m squared minus n squared. So if I look at this first one, the cube root of this is 2x. The cube root of this is y. So I'd have 2x plus y. Square it. Product. So 2. The product of them is 2xy, opposite sign, plus y. And then this is difference of squares, m minus n. m plus n. That's from like the first chapter. Okay, so that would be the complete right answer. All right, so on this one, it is equal to 0, and it says solve. So that means I want you to factor, and I want you to find me the roots. Pause, pause, pause. Pause and try the question. All right, so there's your answer. It comes out as plus or minus 1 and plus or minus the square root of 2. This would be on the no calculator part. First off, I would take out a 16 because you got lots going on there. Wouldn't this be 3d squared plus 2? What are my factors of 2 that add up to 3? Aren't those a negative 2 and a negative 1? And that one still can be factored. D minus 1, D plus 1. So that means my roots are 1 and a negative 1, right? So I know it's got to be one of those two. And then I can take this one, since it's missing a b value, set it equal to 0. I would add the 2, oops, and I would square root both sides. So my other answer is plus or minus the square root of 2. Okay. All right, so try this one. I will show you the answer in a second. But so you're going to factor it and then use those factors to solve. This would be on the no calculator part of the test. So this would be no calculator. Here are my answers down here. Okay, and that's a square root sign. I don't know why it didn't do that. So the first thing, if I factor, this is a perfect cube, this is a perfect cube, I would have k plus 4, and then k squared, and then minus the product, oops, and then plus 4 squared, which is 16. So if I look at this one's easy, right? If I look at this one, factors of 16 that add up to a negative 4. 1 and 16, that's 17. 2 and 8 is 10. 4 and 4 is 8. Doesn't work. So you have two options. Option 1 is to do what we called complete the square. Plus box equals a negative 16 plus box. Half it, square it. So this side is k minus 2 squared equals a negative 12. I square root both sides, and I get k minus 2 equals, this is 4 times 3. So plus or minus 2i root 3, and then I bring the 2 over, 2i root 3. So there's my other answer. So that's option 1. Okay, option 2 is to do the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So that would be, 2c. I was doing the 64 in my head. That's a 16. Just got ahead of myself. So that is 64. So 16 minus 64 is 48. So this becomes 4 plus or minus the square root of a negative 48 divided by 2. 48 is 16 and 3. So this becomes 4 plus or minus 4i root 3 over 2. Both of these are divisible by 2. So you get 2 plus or minus 2i root 3. So you get the same answer. Complete the square quadratic formula. I don't care. You got to know how to do both. Or, well, one of them at least to do this. Okay. All right. So the width of a box is 3 less than the length. The height of is 4 less than the length. The volume of the box is 36 cubic feet. Find the length of the box. So Miss Williams can't draw. Let's see if they have like a... should I go like photo library? No, don't allow. That's not what I want. Like a web clip. Go to Safari. And I want a... Nah, that's not going to work. We'll just pretend. Pretending is scary. So I can't draw a box. So you have a box. You have this, right? Someday I'm going to be able to draw this, but it's not going to be today. So it's saying everything is going around the length. The width of the box is 3 less. So I don't know which one we're going to make width. So I'm going to say the width of the box is 3 less than the length. So L minus 3. The height of the box is 4 less than the length. And you have also, so there's the length, height, and there's my length right there. The volume is 36. So wouldn't that be L times L minus 3 times L minus 4 equals 36. So this would be L squared minus 3L. And then I'd have L squared, cubed, minus 4L squared minus 3L squared. 4L squared, 3L squared, minus 12L equals 36. So this is L cubed minus 7L squared minus 12L minus 36 equals 0. So if I look at this, it doesn't factor. Okay, and so we're just kind of looking at this like what my other options are. So I do have an equation, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go to Desmos. And it was x cubed minus 7x squared. I got to remember the rest of it. Minus 12x minus 36. Okay, and so I know it hits like at 8 point. There is the length of the box. So my answer would be 8.8. So on some of these story problems, geez Louise, a lot going on there. On some of these story problems, you are going to get decimal answers, so 8.8. Okay, but you are having to write, you're going to have to write the equation of this. So I'm just double checking. I felt like this one came out nice. L cubed minus 4L squared. No, okay, minus 12L. We're good. All right, so this is what your assignment tonight is going to be. So we're going to learn how to do this mathematically without doing all of it at once. So we're going to kind of do this in steps. So if you look at this example, it says, I'm just going to put the x cubed plus 4x squared minus 15x minus 18. Okay, if I look at this, this is a degree 3. And it does hit the axis 3 times. It hits here, it hits here, and it hits here. What did I do? 19. It's 18. Good morning to me. Okay, so it hits here at 3, there at a -1, and there at a -6. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Some of you are just going to put this in your calculator. But if I gave you this question in a test, it would be a no calculator question because I'm giving you the root. I'm telling you one of the roots is at x minus 3, which is this root right here, which is at 3. So if you know that root, then you know that you can long divide or synthetically divide. I'm going to long divide. Okay, so x minus 3, and that's x cubed plus 4x squared minus 15x minus 18. This would be on the no calculator part. How do I change an x into an x cubed? I do it by x squared. And then I change my signs. So I get 7x squared, and I bring that down, minus 15x. How do I change an x into a 7x squared? I times by 7x. So 7x squared minus 21x. I change my signs, and I get 6x. And I bring down the 18. How do I change an x into a 6x? I go by 6. 6x minus 18. I change my signs, and I get 0. Okay, so this is my leftover. This is what happens when you divide. Now, in this case, on tonight's assignment, it's wanting you to find the remaining factors. Okay, so if I want to find the remaining factors, I would do x plus 6 and x plus 1. So these are my remaining factors. And if I look at Desmos, does it also hit at a -1 and a -6? So we can use long division to find the roots of this. Okay, so it's going to give you that green factor tonight. So on your homework tonight, it's going to give you this factor and you have to find the other ones. So I'm going to do x plus 2. So if it's a factor, then my remainder has to be 0. If it's not 0, you screwed up. So it's telling you it's a factor, your remainder has to be 0. Okay, so I'm going to go through this again. Same thing. How do I turn an x into an x cubed? X squared to x squared. Change your signs. You get 6x squared plus 17x. How do I change an x into a 6x squared? 12x. Change my signs. I get 5x plus 10. And so then this would be a plus 5, and I get 5x plus 10. Change your signs, and you get 0. So can this still factor? Yes, x plus 1 and x plus 5. So if I look at this, I haven't even put this on the calculator yet, but because of these, I know that if I were to put this into my graphing calculator, it would hit at a -2, a -1, and a -5. So I'm kind of working ahead because I'm going to be gone, so I just want to make sure everybody understands. X cubed plus 8x squared plus 8x squared plus 17x, and then what was the last thing? Plus 10. Does it hit at a -1, a -2, and a -5? Yes, -1, -2, -5. So we can use long division to find our roots. Okay, now it starts to get a little bit different. Now it doesn't say this is a factor, it says determine whether it's a factor. So if it is a factor, then we just talked about this, my remainder is going to be 0 if it's a factor. Okay, so I'm going to do x plus 2, x cubed plus 5x squared. So how do I change an x into an x cubed? X squared. Change my signs, 3x squared plus 2x. So I'd go plus 3x, so 3x squared plus 6x. Change your signs, that's a -4x minus 8. So minus 4, so -4x minus 8. Change your signs. Yes, it is a factor. Then it says, then find the remaining factors. So wouldn't that be x plus 4 and x minus 1? So those are my remaining factors. Okay, so you could just put this on your calculator and find me the factors that way. The issue with that is these questions will be on the no calculator part of the test. I haven't needed a calculator just to check. So if you want to do it and then check that this hits at a -2, -4, and 1, then you would know I did it right. But if you're using that to find your answer, you're going to struggle on the test. Okay, now this one's a little different. This is an x to the 5th. It wants you to determine the remaining factors. So we need to talk about this one. So how do I change this? That would become an x to the 4th. So that's an x to the 5th minus 2x to the 4th. Change your signs. Those both cancel. So I have to bring the next 2 down. So I get 4x cubed minus 8x squared. So I would do plus 4x squared. So that's 4x cubed minus 8x squared. Change your signs. Those cancel. So I bring the next 2 down. And I get -5x plus 10. So that's going to be minus 5. So minus 5x plus 10. Change your signs. Those cancel. So it does cancel. It says determine the remaining factors, which means it had to be 0. So what are my factors of this? Wouldn't this be x squared plus 5 and x squared minus 1? This still factors. So this would be the correct answer. It's kind of like the warm-up we did earlier. You just would have done it all the way. So you can still factor it. Okay, example 1 on PF1, it's saying write a polynomial function. This is ones we've already done. This was on our last test. In standard form, so this would be x minus 3 and x plus 5. It wants it in standard form, so we multiplied it out. Oops. So x squared plus 5x minus 3x minus 15. So my answer is y equals x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, so that was what we've already done. This is different. It has a leading coefficient of a -2. It has roots at 1, so that's x minus 1. roots at 3i, x minus 3i, and roots at a negative 3i, x plus 3i. You can multiply two things together at a time. So I'm going to multiply because I need it in standard form. Standard form. So I'm going to multiply those two. That's a negative 2x plus 2. And I'm going to multiply these two. Okay, so that's going to be x squared plus 3ix minus 3ix minus 9i squared. What does a minus 9i squared become? It becomes a plus 9, and those middle terms cancel. So now I multiply this. I would get minus 2x cubed minus 18x. I'm going to do it this way. Minus 18x plus 2x squared plus 18. Now here's the issue. If you write that, I would take off because standard form means that you have to put it in descending order. So you would have to do this. So that's my answer in standard form. Okay. Now I'm trying to get to this one because the bell's about to ring, so I'm probably going to have to do a second part of this video. So write a polynomial function in standard form with 3 as a leading coefficient. Roots at 4. And a root at 2i. Now we need to talk about this. It is a polynomial function, which means it has real coefficients. So it has to. So sometimes in the textbook, they'll give you one of the roots as a positive 2i. So you have to use your brain and know that there is another root at a negative 2i. If it is a polynomial function, it has to have conjugate pairs for roots, because you get those by doing the quadratic formula. So if you have a root at a plus 2i and it's a polynomial, you're going to have a root at a negative 2i. Okay, so you can multiply two things together at a time. So you multiply this. So that is 3x minus 12, right? And you can multiply the back two. So that's x squared plus 2ix minus 2ix minus 4i squared. That becomes a plus 4. And then I multiply that. 3x cubed minus 12x squared plus 12x minus 48. That is my answer. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop this here because I want to do these last 4 examples. And so I'm going to have to put this video into 2 because the bell is about to ring, and I want to make sure I don't speed through them. So you will have to open up the second part of this video.